Welcome to the North Phoenix Suburban Stead. My name is Rich. So I bought this Honda CRF 450R 2005 model from Tyler at the Flight Springs Ranch. You may remember Tyler. He helped me with some of the pool equipment in pressurizing those pop-up heads. Anyway, got to do a little bit of work on this. First, I'm going to install a kickstand so it's easier to stand the bike up. The other is that the front brakes are locked up, and don't know exactly why, but I've been doing some research and I've got a plan, so I'll be able to work on those. A few other accessories. We got some hand guards. These will go up over the handlebars. That's so when you're riding in the desert, your knuckles don't run into cactus and you get cactus thorns in your fingers. I also bought a single bike wrap to put onto the back of the Jeep so I can take this over to the Flight Springs Ranch, and right out of my buddy Shane's ranch we can ride right in the Tonto National Forest and all around some of that Arizona area, some awesome desert riding. So first things first, we're going to move this, even though it's hard because the front wheel is locked up on the brake, and we're going to install the kickstand. We'll go from there. So I bought this kickstand. It looks pretty cool, pretty high tech, called Trail Tech, for an 04 to 08, I believe. This is an 05, so we're all good there. I need to mount this in place of the foot peg. All right, got it. It's not looking right. It's this piece right here. What the beep is going on? Alright, let's take this back off. Alright, so the dumbass that I am, I bought the wrong kickstand, as usual, right? This is the way things roll in the North Phoenix Suburban Stead. Long story short, this kickstand is for a 250R, 450R for the same year. I need it for the X model, and so it's got the bolts don't line up, it hits that piece. I've got to return this and get the right one. Urgh! Working on the dirt bike, specifically the front brakes. I believe the pistons inside the caliper they just got some dirt in it and they're stuck in there. So the brake is fixed and it won't release. I can't roll the front tire. I can't move the dirt bike. So I'm going to take off the cap to the reservoir of the brake fluid. That'll give it some relieve, some pressure. And then I'm going to try to expand the calipers in the wheel and just see if I can get it loose. If I can, great, I can move it around and we can take it all apart and then clean it all up. So here we go. Alright, so the reservoir was empty. So what I'm going to do now is try to either get these pads out or release the caliper. Do something here, but I got to first take off this plate. Shit, that looks stripped. I'm going to first go about this by trying to press in to get the pistons to move. Let's see if I can get any movement there. No change, those pads are still gripped on there. So let's remove the pad pin. Yeah, look at that, it's pretty dirty. All right, let's give this a shot again. Still don't think that did anything, so I'm going to try to see if I can remove this pad. And that's not going anywhere. Damn. So no change, so I'm going to see if I can remove the caliper. See if we can do this without making too much of a mess with the brake fluid. Shit, there wasn't a lot in there. I'm going to press the brake. Let's see what happens here. Alright. So that should be fully bled out now. Hey, now it's moving. So let's see if I can stop here. And move the bike. If we can, we're good for the day. Alright, so she rolls. Alright, so we met the objective here, which was to loosen up the front brake. So we did it by loosening the line. The wheel's able to roll, so I'll be able to move this thing around and get to work on it. I'm likely going to take the caliper off, including the master cylinder, and overhaul it, or at least clean it up, maybe even change the pads. We'll see what they look like when we get to it. That's it for right now. See you soon. You may have just watched me struggle or really agonize over the process of working on these calipers. Really just over analyzing everything and trying to be exact and specific. And at the end of the day, to release the brakes, I just needed to loosen this up. I actually drained the fluid, but there wasn't a lot in it to begin with. So I still believe that the pistons are gunked up or something's gunked up. So I'm going to take it apart and thoroughly clean it, give it an overhaul, and we'll put it back together. Hopefully that solves our front brake problem as I continue to work on this thing to get it ride ready. Man, those fuckers are on tight. I've been at this for a while now. I was able to go ahead and get the pistons to come out. I did that by using compressed air. Cleaned them all up, got them back in there, and then I went and pressurized the system. I tightened down the bleed valve. I tightened down the valve where the fluid goes into the caliper. And multiple times I had opened up the master cylinder. I inspected the diaphragm, I filled it with more brake fluid, and I just cannot get the system pressurized. So what you're looking at here is the brake line. I'm going to take the whole assembly off, including the master cylinder, and I'm going to clean everything. I'm going to blow out the line just to see if there's any crud in there. I'll clean everything up, put it all back together, and we'll give it a shot again. From there, I'm not sure what I will do. I was able to get compressed air down that little hole, enough where I felt it coming out. I also saw some fluid coming out. But what I also noticed was that this was getting wet with brake fluid. If you look right here, you'll see it came out. Now that may have been I had too much air pressure on the compressor, but this wasn't leaking before, meaning when I had fluid in there and I was pressing the handle, I saw the fluid come out the bleeder valve on the caliper. I didn't see anything coming out of here. So I want to assume that this line is okay. You can see the spring in there. And it feels okay. I really don't want to take this boot off and have to deal with what's under there. So let's take this off, and you know, for all I know, all of this stuff is just fine. It's operating correctly, and I'm just doing something wrong. So I blew air through here, pushing the plunger up and down, and I did see some brake fluid come out of the top of that piece in there. So everything looks okay. I got the fluid back into the line. I had it coming out of the bleeding valve. In fact, I even took the valve out when I had it off, and I was filling it up, and looked like it was taking some liquid in the lines. Anyway, I got the calipers back on. Everything looks really good. I've got the shoes in the right place, but here's where we are. Everything's connected back together. I've been trying to bleed the line. I'm just not able. I'm going to press this with my hand and squeeze it, and you'll see that the caliper is going to be working correctly. The pistons are all the way in. I got all the pads in there. I've been trying to bleed the line. Working on brakes when you don't know what you're doing just sucks. After all the struggles and frustrations with the front brakes, I wound up buying a new line in the hopes it would solve the problem. Spoiler alert, it doesn't fix it. So I'm going to end this video here and call it part 1. In part 2, I replaced the master cylinder and it finally works. I also clean everything, replace all the fluids, change the spark plug in the air filter, and remove the carburetor to rebuild it. Thanks for watching. Check out part 2.